Okay, I'm just gonna run out some of their throwing weapons early. Have you looked into evolution run of Gen 2? I already did EV only in Gen 2. What would be the point of doing an evolution one? It'd just be the same thing but easier. Hernandez gained a skill point in tactics. Awesome. I don't know who got dismounted there. Sea Rider Aw, we lost a guy. He actually died, too. I don't think he got knocked out. Where did you say I could find this rant? Oh, it's like on my Curious Cat account, which is linked in the description of my videos and probably everything. You know what? I forgot. I shouldn't tell them to follow me. I should tell them to charge, because in this game, unlike Warband, they're actually smart enough to just circle their prey. I forgot that's a thing I should be doing. You'd love to hear the pros and cons of living in Canada? There's a lot of pros and cons of living in Canada. It also depends on where you live in Canada. It's the second largest nation in the world, and so depending on where you live, it's very different, you know? We're a low population country with a lot of land mass, which means you'll have very culturally different places because there's enormous gaps between populated areas. And so culturally, we're like 6 different countries. But most noticeably, there's the big gap between French Canada and English Canada. The vast majority of Canada is English Canada, and then in the northeast is Quebec, which is French Canada. They have different laws and different rules and different culture, quite strongly, in fact. Although in New Brunswick, there is a large French-Canadian population who's more Acadian. They consider themselves quite different from the Quebecois. So there you go, a little bit of Canada history. A tiny, tiny bit. To know which is worse, honestly, Canada, at least in theory, is better than living in the US right now? Oh, I disagree. I'm still trying to move into the US. It's just COVID put that on hold. Here, I'll give you a real quick breakdown. Isn't there also Chinese Canada? No, we have a large Chinese population, but there's no, like, there isn't a province of Canada that is entirely Chinese or anything. Here, let me grab the link for you. I actually bookmarked it just so I don't need to repeat myself over and over. There you go. There's the link if anyone's curious. And if anybody on the YouTube upload wants the link, I mean, you can type it out on screen, but that's kind of a bitch, so if you just ask in the comments, I'm sure someone will be able to link it for you. Outside of the French you learned in school, did you learn any more French? No, and I forgot all of it after school. Most people do, even though I pretty much live on the border with French Canada. The thing is, people sometimes forget language is a tool. You know, if you can have a hammer and you can take classes on how to use a hammer, but if you live in a world in which you never need to use a hammer, you're not going to know how to use the hammer, you know? That's why French education in Canada is very confusing. You're forced to learn it mandatory for 8 years in all of Canada, but unless you live in French Canada, you're just going to forget it after you're done learning it, because you have no use for it. It is useless to you in your everyday life. What it is useful, though, for is your political life. If you get a political career, 52% of Canadian government jobs require you be fluent in English and Quebecois French, which means almost all politicians and high forms of government are people who have lived in Quebec, which means you need to be wealthy enough to have been able to then spend some time to live in Quebec, which means we have a severe problem with a ruling elite that is bilingual and thus can write things in other laws than you. If you do not speak a language that no one speaks anywhere close to you in any way, shape, or form outside of one class in school, you cannot participate in your own local government. That is a massive democratic issue with Canada that you never hear people outside of Canada talk about. I cannot run for any major government position in my country because I don't know a language that has no relevance to me whatsoever. Are you in Alberta? Let's say you've lived in Alberta your entire life. You know what Albertans need. You've listened to the people. The people love you, and you wanna be the premier of Alberta. And you walk in. So you walk in. You send in your application. Do you know English? Yes. Do you know French? No. Nobody here knows French outside of school. Why would I need to know French? I'm sorry. That's the fluent language of a province the entire length of Europe away from you. So I did the math on this recently. Let's say you live in, I believe the city I picked was the distance between Quebec, the Quebec border, and Alberta. Now, this is not even the farthest province from Quebec in Canada. Could you imagine if you grew up in the Netherlands, a land of many languages, and they learn many languages because it's useful to them because of proximity, and you can't run to be the mayor of Amsterdam because you don't speak Kazakh? Now, you don't speak Kazakh. Nobody you know speaks Kazakh. You've never met somebody that speaks Kazakh outside of Kazakh classes in school. But you need to be fluent in Kazakh because in Kazakhstan, they speak Kazakh. The distance between Amsterdam and the border of Kazakhstan is about the same as between Quebec and Alberta. Now, realistically, if you took a plane, it would probably take a bit longer because there's less airports out there. However, by kilometer, yeah, it's pretty bad. Did you see the conservative debate in French? They weren't speaking French. Well, I don't speak French either, so I didn't watch a conservative debate in French. Fun fact, in Norway, it's the same thing as English and French in Canada, but not a different language. It's just a variant. Yeah, see, that makes a bit more sense, but I also concede that if there is a democratic issue with that, I wouldn't know it. Anyway, no one came to this to learn about Canadian issues in politics. Like, we have big problems with our democracy. Did you know that in a time of political turmoil, whatever that means, the Prime Minister is not chosen by the public. The Prime Minister is chosen by the Governor General. Who chooses the Governor General? The Prime Minister. This usually means that the Governor General is usually a member of the Prime Minister's political party. Now, does that sound like a conflict of interest to you? I mean, we're like half a democracy. Buffering? Sorry. Yeah, I see it. It's not on my end, though. I'm sorry. I think Twitch is having one of those days. The YouTube version will be okay. To anyone who watches this, by the way, and you're getting a little itchy in the forearms, you know, something's not feeling quite right, and you're like, I think this guy might have a political opinion that he has not stated that I disagree with. Please don't assume anything. I just ask me. If you think I have a political opinion that you're worried about, literally just ask me point blank. I'll tell you. I'm an honest guy. I hate when I see in the comments people just assume my political opinions. You are buff. Yeah, guys, I'm not in control of, well, I guess in fairness, they can't. I guess a lot of them probably can't hear, so I just typed it in the chat there for them. I'm really not having any issues, right? Let me just double check my connection here. Internet connection stable. Wi-Fi is good. I'm sending out the correct bit rate. I'm sending out 5 megabit a second, which is way more than what the stream is taking. Yeah, it's Twitch. Twitch is dropping. You love hearing MTV rant about how shit Canada is? I don't think Canada's shit. I think Canada's like top 10, top 20 countries in the world. It's not top 5. I'll put it this way, if you're born in Canada, you probably would be perfectly fine to stay here. However, you'd also probably be better off if you left. Depends. Depends on your work, I guess. Doesn't Canada already have a prime minister? Well, yes. We always have a prime minister. Actually, the Queen picks the Governor General. Not anymore. That's a figurehead thing. The Governor General is officially appointed by the political party. It's voted on internally through the political party, of which less than 1% of Canadians are a paid member of any political party. So in the case that the Governor General picks a prime minister, it has been voted on by less than 1% of Canadian population. By the way, more than 50% of Canadian prime ministers have been picked by the Governor General, not by the population. In all of Canada's history. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. Over 50% have been picked by the Governor General and not by the voting public. Usually this happens because someone steps down, or someone dies, or someone gets too ill, or there's a scandal and someone gets ousted within the party, and the party picks a new guy. So just so you know, that's, whoa. It's scary. It's scary shit. But you know, when Americans always say that their democracy is in jeopardy, you guys have no clue what goes on to on your northern border. Like, we don't even hide that they'll just put people in power without electing them. They don't hide it here. What's my political opinion on pineapple on pizza? You can like whatever you want to like. I have no issue with it at all. I get it. Pineapple goes with ham. I'm not a ham on pizza guy, but if you like ham on pizza, then yeah, pineapple's probably cool too. I don't like mixing sweet with meat that much, but pineapple on ham is delicious. So I get it. Oh, thanks, Eldrill. I always forget to raid. Yeah, I try not to talk about politics on the show just because I don't like to preach. Which is why I'm not preaching to you. You can believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. I don't give a shit. It's no hair off my back. I'm not going to think that you're a bad person for voting differently than me. What kind of micropenis would you have to be to believe that somebody is a bad person just because they voted differently? Sorry, am I subtweeting half the internet right now? Did I just subtweet half the internet right now? Stop being judgy pricks, Twitter. You don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. Nobody knows more than 1% of anything. Leave it alone. Maybe have a little bit of compassion for strangers on the internet. Maybe make the assumption that they know some things you don't, and you know some things they don't, and then maybe you should be a little more understanding with people. There you go. There's my soapbox for you. I'm using my soapbox to say, maybe be a little bit nicer to strangers. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know their story. You don't know who they were talking to before they talked to you. Just leave it alone, you know? Be nice. All right, I'm gonna move over to Aragon over there. I want to see what the trade goods are. Can I buy some like really cheap wood or anything? Because I haven't been keeping up on my smelting. Oh, hey, an army just formed right here. Never mind, army it is. Yeah, that's a big army too. You elect the people that put the people in power, though, right? No. No, when a party in Canada is putting a new party in head, you didn't vote for that. It's just the party is in because you voted for the previous guy. You know, like, for instance, if you vote for, let's just say Justin Trudeau, because he's the prime minister right now. So let's say you vote for Justin Trudeau, and then he wins, and then he just, I don't know, dies, because that's the simplest way this would happen. Let's say he just explodes. He spontaneously combusts in office. You don't vote for a new guy. the Liberal Party just picks a new person and they're the prime minister now. And less than 1% of the Canadian public are part of any political party. And so the election for like who the next person is going to be is done within the Liberal Party or whatever party's in charge. And so the result is your new prime minister is voted on by less than 1% of the population. And that's over half of our prime ministers we've had in Canadian history. So let's get back to the game. I agree. Sorry, it's just everybody's asking, you know? It's hard. It's hard when everybody's asking because, you know, I feel like a dick if I don't answer your questions because I know you guys are genuinely curious. But at the same time, I know that, you know, some people are coming for the conversation. Some people just like talking with me. But I know some other people just want to get away from politics, you know? And that's why I try not to talk about politics much, because some people need some fucking escapism from that. Nobody shuts up about it anymore. I'm not trying to preach anything to you guys. I'm not trying to say that my way's right or your way's wrong or anything like that, because I don't know and you don't know. Nobody knows. Just be nice to strangers. Wow, they're really... Why are they buying more recruits when we have an army of almost 1,000 and our food is low? The army are in dispersed. How much you want to bet that dispersed because the money was so bad? Oh my god. I was hoping for a tournament. Do I have any loot to sell? Yep. Just sell all of it. Is spontaneous explosion a frequent problem with Canadian politicians? It isn't, but it'd be hilarious if it was. Also worrying, but hilarious. Hilarious in a morbid way. Thank you for all the content you put up. Your CK2 is one of your favorites. That's awesome. CK3 is coming out soon. Hello from Brazil. I was actually just talking at the beginning of the stream about how people from Brazil always say that they're from Brazil when they greet me, and I think it's just kind of cool because I like Brazil. Our prime minister has less power than the American president? That, well, you say our. I don't know what country you're from. The Canadian prime minister actually has much more power over his own country than the American president. In fact, it's to a ridiculous degree. The prime minister is actually able to kick out anybody from his own party without cause. So that means that if someone for instance, as an example, Justin Trudeau is the leader of the Liberal Party. If anybody in the Liberal Party votes away in the House that, or the Senate, that Justin Trudeau does not like, he can kick them out of the party for any reason. That is terrifying to me, by the way. Nobody should have that much control over their own party. That's worrying. Because the party's for the people, not for the leader. They're supposed to be representing the population of the country, not the small amount of people that are within the party itself, you know? The PM is the leader of the winning party, no? Typically. If the Governor General picks the next in line from the party, what's the difference? The difference is that the general public had no say in that. If you voted for Justin Trudeau because you believe in his policies and his ideals, he explodes, and then the Liberal Party picks a new guy who's nothing like him, you're just fucked, and you voted for that party, and that party just betrayed all campaign promises because that guy's gone now. This happens a lot. Just because you voted for the same party doesn't mean you voted for the same platform. There's many people within a party that disagree with each other, you know? That's why we have nominations for this, you know? You look at America and you see that there's a Democratic National Convention. You see that they have a whole bunch of front runners, and nowadays Joe Biden is the front runner, right? He's the one that they're picking. But there was still debates and everything where everybody had to pick who's going to be the Democratic nominee. And that was kind of weeded out over time, right? So if you're trying to say that it's the same thing, right? It's still democratically okay. Let's put it this way. If you voted for Bernie Sanders and then Bernie Sanders died and they replaced him with Joe Biden, are you perfectly okay with that? And you believe that that's the exact same thing? You would probably have an issue with that. Same with the other way around. If Joe Biden died and you voted for Biden and then Bernie Sanders came in, these are two vastly different people and you probably wouldn't agree with one if you agree with the other. There's your problem. That's why you need to have an election. Anyway. Is Canadian Prime Minister a dictatorship with extra steps? No, it's nothing close to a dictatorship. It is still democratic. It's not nearly as democratic as it should be. What a fun way to cap off the stream, by the way. I just hit the 1 hour, 20-minute point, and I have to get this Oblivion challenge edited today. And there's a lot to do in it, and honestly, the amount of buffering I'm seeing on Twitch's end is unbelievable. So I think I kind of have to end it here. I feel bad. I wish I could stream longer, but I'm super busy with other obligations. I hate to end on a bummer, you know? That's why you don't understand why the USA votes for such old people. They don't usually die in office. Plus, you can vote for whoever you want to vote for. Vote for whoever you want. I'm not going to judge you based on how old the person is, but an arbitrary characteristic. If, like, they're so old that they can't function anymore, then sure, that's fair, but then you're not voting for them. Then you're deciding not to vote for them because of a physical ailment or a mental ailment, not because of the age. It probably just came with the age, you know? Anyway. I am going to get back to work on some other stuff now. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you guys are hearing this message even because, you know, the buffering and everything. And again, just a reminder, I am not a judgy person when it comes to politics. I don't care who you voted for. It's perfectly fine. I'm not judging you for that. You do you. I don't know what your life is like. I don't know what you do when you go home, and I'm sure you're a perfectly fine person. Most people are. When people say that, like, half the public or whatever are awful people or everybody's an idiot or stuff like that, I just don't believe it. Anyway, I'm gonna go get something to eat and get some work done. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.